Namaste. Good evening. This is Dr. Aparna. I am your emotional healing synergist. I am an Ayurvedic psychotherapist, a passionate infopreneur, medical writer, and a budding YouTuber. In my pursuit to address, promote, propagate Ayurveda and psychotherapy globally, I come up with talk throughs or discussions every week on Ayurveda, mental health, psychotherapy, and related aspects. This session is a continuation session on my emotional metamorphosis series through, reading books. So this last session, we were talking. I was talking on a book called "The Courage to Be Disliked." The full book synopsis. I was talking about the key lessons or the key takeaways. The seven key takeaways. Importantly, which was my observational insight on the book, the notes which I have made, and today we are talking on some of the in detail about the key highlights or the synopsis which I have made, uh, or my observational highlights on the book. And we are also talking about, if we when we talk about the book "The Courage to Be Disliked," we also have to talk about Adlerian psychology, because the book is, the importance of the book itself, the significance itself is the Adlerian psychology. Here, the book, for people who have missed the first session, the book is a 5 night conversation of a young between a young man and a philosopher. So the young man asks multiple questions of him being unhappy, and what is the real reason for happiness. So, and the philosopher answers the questions. So this is a 5 night discussion: night one, night two, night three, night four, and night five. So, and the philosophy which is addressed here is Adlerian philosophy or Adlerian psychology. So I would want you to refer the first session before coming to this session, because there is you can get a gist of what this book is all about. So let's get started without wasting any time. So, when we talk of the book here, as I already said, this book is all about Adlerian psychology. So, what is Adlerian psychology in a nutshell? So, if we have to get a brief overview of what is Adlerian psychology, the goal is to be, self-reliant as an individual, to be independent and self-reliant as an individual. And the mindset you have to have is, I have the ability to shape my life. So you are not leaving the decisions to the circumstances. You are taking it in, taking the responsibility of your life, having that mindset. I have the ability to shape my life. And two behavioral goals here is, see, and how to live in harmony with society. And the mindset should be, people are my comrades. Comrades is like a colleague or ally. So you're considering other people as your colleagues or ally. So you're not considering them as competitors or enemies. So that Adlerian psychology talks about these behavioral goals and mindset. So as we have discussed in the previous session, I was talking about that Adlerian, important concepts in Adlerian psychology is, the first thing is, your past doesn't dictate your future, and gain from freedom through personal responsibility. So, and gain happiness through active contribution. So these three things, how you gain freedom by taking responsibility of your life, personal responsibility, and gain happiness through active contribution. See, and this book, presents, as I said, the key ideas and teachings of the Austrian psychologist Alfred Adler founded individual psychology, which is a bit contrarian to the conventional psychology. So, this book is a bit in contrast to the ideologies of Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. The conventional psychology, we can say. So, as I said, see, some of the things, important things that the Adlerian psychology talks about before entering into that 5 night discussion, the gist of the 5 night discussion. So, the first thing is, relationships is equal to the root of all the problems. Alfred Adler believes that relationship is equal to the root of all problems. So we can say how. So, human beings are social creatures. So, we get the greatest satisfaction and happiness when we feel like we belong, will belong to this place and are making a positive contribution. So, our well being is closely tied to our relationships with others. So, in fact, Adler says that all problems are rooted in interpersonal relationships. So, since relationship problems will always spill over to other parts of our lives, when we improve our relationships, we naturally improve our lives. So this is what the first thing Adlerian philosophy or psychology talks about. Here there is an other interesting concept which I had briefly mentioned in the last session, is something called etiology versus teleology. So, etiology is what the conventional psychologists believed. So, etiology focuses on how the past affects the present. So, this is the approach adopted by, as I said, Sigmund Freud, who focuses on past experiences and traumas, or psychic, wounds, you can say, impact our current thinking and behaviors. So this is what etiology means. That means the past affects the present. But here, in contrast to what conventional psychologists believed, Adlerian philosophy, or Adlerian psychology believes in teleology. So, teleology is something that ignores the past. So, it focuses on how our actions are driven by our current goals and motivations for the future. So, Adlerian psychology completely ignores the past. Some may actually, disagree with Adlerian psychology, or this etiology versus teleology is always debatable. But here, why Adlerian psychology ignores the past is, it is to focus on our present, because Adlerian psychology, as I said, says that your past does not dictate your future. So here, this focuses on how our actions are driven by our current goals and motivations for the future. even though we have faced some different we have gone through trauma, pain, and wounds in the past, should not uh, affect our current life, our present life, and the future, if we choose not to be affected by the past. So we choose to get affected by the past. Last In the last session, if you remember, we discussed that Adler believes that we humans use trauma as an excuse, you know to blame the circumstances instead of taking the responsibility of our lives in our hands. So, and the next concept is, this is etiology and teleology. See, I feel both are important. So you have to understand how the etiology, how the past affects the presence, but you have to adopt, I feel, this is completely my opinion, teleology, because we have to ignore the past and focus on how our actions are driven by our current goals and motivations for future. If we always sit in the past with the past trauma, we can never achieve our goals, or we can never contribute something impactful in this world. So the next concept Adlerian psychology talks about is holism. So what is holism? So Adlerian, he founded the individual. He's the founder of individual psychology. Is This is built on the concept of holism. Holism means whole body. Like, you can say that, which says that each individual is single and unified whole. So holism means, Adler says that you can't split your mind from your body, your conscious mind, and your from your unconscious mind. You can't split your mind, divide differentiate your mind from your body. A person is a whole. Same likewise, you cannot split your conscious mind from your unconscious mind, nor you can separate your thoughts from your emotions. So when you lose your temper and yell at someone, for example, if you lose your temper and yell at someone, you are doing it as a whole person. It is not, your emotions cannot force you to do it. That means Adler believes that you choose to yell at someone, you choose to lose temper, and you choose to yell at someone. That could be changed if you choose not to do it. So that is what holism is. You can't say that my emotions, oh, I got carried away by my emotions and my emotions forced me to do it. So you cannot say that. Your emotions, your thoughts, your mind, your unconscious mind, your unconscious mind, all are one, a single and unified whole. So you cannot differentiate. That means you choose to lose temper, you choose to get angry. It is not your emotions taking away, forcing you to do that. If you don't choose to get anger, or if you don't choose to lose your temper, you can do it. So this is what holism is all about, and this is what Adlerian individual psychology. Next is concepts for finding happiness and fulfillment. So to understand how relationships affect our sense of well-being and happiness, and why active contribution is a key to happiness. So Adler believes that active contribution is a key to happiness. So how? So do check, see, and the courage to be disliked, the very meaning, the very reason for the book is finding happiness and fulfillment. So the key ideas here given is pursuit of superiority. So what Adler says is feelings of inferiority can lead to both positive and negative outcomes. So find out how to harness it for personal growth. So inferiority complex sometimes what happens is can lead to negative outcomes. Here Alfred Adler says it also lead to positive outcomes as well. So we always have to have the pursuit of superiority. So we he says that we have to ignore the feelings of inferiority. We have to come out of it, you know constant seeking of validation, feelings of inferiority, that I am not worthy enough of doing this, I can't do this, I can't take it, or you feeling that mostly will give you negative outcomes. But sometimes he also says that might give you positive outcome. So if you're not expecting something, and if suddenly it comes to you, it is a positive outcome from the inferiority thing. But however, he says that we have to harness the pursuit of superiority, and the feelings of inferiority for our personal growth. Next, as I said, see others as comrades. So, if you have to live happy and live fulfilling life, see, we have to see, fellow people. It is a bit, difficult to trust people, and sometimes it becomes difficult. But here Adler says we should see them as allies or colleagues, or to cooperate with each other. People, just to be cooperative to each other in achieving each other's dreams. Don't look your fellow people who are around you as your enemies or competitors. What will happen is this will pave the way for you to contribute to others, increase your sense of purpose and self-worth, which is ultimately what brings you to true happiness. So here the another thing is the goal of interpersonal relationships is to get a sense of community or belonging, so which comes from active contribution to your society or your community, shifting from self interest to social interest and building horizontal relationships based on equality and respect. If you followed the last session, we talked about horizontal relationships and vertical relationships. Vertical relationship is a hierarchy based relationship, like a manager, senior manager, the CEO, and the managing director. Maybe like this. But here Adler says to develop horizontal relationship will have mutual respect. That means all humans are equal. They might not be the same, but they are equal. So building Alfred Adler, gives, presents an idea to build, horizontal relationships. So which is based on equality and respect. So according to Adler, life has no inherent meaning, and it's up to you to give meaning to life. How wonderful, the quote is. He says that life has no inherent meaning. You have to give your meaning to the life. You have to find the purpose of your life. Otherwise, the life itself inherently has no meaning unless and until you give the meaning to life. So I have just, out of interest and curiosity to explore more, and I just liked these quotes from the book The Courage to Be Disliked. I just wanted to share these quotes with you all, because these are wonderful quotes. So happiness is the feeling of contribution. This is what Adlerian psychology insists. So human beings are all equal but not the same. So the important thing is not what one is born with, but what use one makes of the equipment. So you're born with a talent. The important thing is not what you're born with, but what you make use of what you're born with. That is a quote by Alfred Adler. So your life is not something that someone gives you, but something you choose yourself, and you are the one who decides how to live. So he says that your life is not something that someone gives you, but something you choose yourself, and you are the one who decides how to live. So we do lack ability. We just lack courage. See, Alfred Adler says we do not lack ability. Humans do not lack ability. We just lack courage. It all comes down to courage. So he says we do not lack, a human being does not lack ability, but he or she may lack courage. It all comes down to courage. So that is what this book is all about, the courage to be disliked. So he also, the another quote is, we cannot alter objective facts, but subjective interpretations can be altered as much as one likes. And we are inhabitants of a subjective world. So he says that we cannot alter objective facts, but subjective interpretations can be altered as much as one likes. So we are inhabitants of a subjective world. So one way of understanding this is we cannot change the circumstances, but we can change how we react to the circumstances. If you followed the last session, uh, I talked about, same for the same circumstance, or the same for the same scenario, three different people react in three different ways. So we can always change how we react. So we are inhabitants of a subjective world. So subjective interpretations can be altered as much as one likes. So the next quote is, all you can do with regard to your own life is to choose the best path that you believe in. So the next quote is, if you are not living your life for yourself, then who is going to live it for you? It is so beautiful. It is so simple but so beautiful. If you are not living your life for yourself, then who is going to live it for you? If one really has confidence in oneself, one does not feel the need to boast. So next is the ultimate one. I read it earlier. Happiness is the feeling of contribution. So here, some of the important, other important concepts of Adler's, psychology is, you use feelings of inferiority as an excuse. So, as I said, we have to, Adler believes that we have to uh, go to the pursuit of superiority. So what he means is, feelings of inferiority are subjective interpretations rather than the objective facts. You can see being shorter than average as inferior. Suppose your height is 5 feet and the average is 5'3", so you can feel that being shorter is inferior or as superior for not being intimidating and getting other people to relax. So there is one good thing about subjectivity, that is, it allows you to make your own choice. That means view anything as an advantage or disadvantage. So we cannot alter objective facts, but we can alter interpretations as much as you like. So here, what he means is people enter the world as helpless beings. We all enter the world as helpless beings, and they have a universal desire to escape from the helpless state. So, this is called the pursuit of superiority. So, feelings of inferiority, if not used in a wrong way, can be good stimulant for growth. So, however, there are people who lose the courage to take steps forward and cannot accept the fact that the situation can be changed by making realistic efforts. Or and before doing anything, they simply give up and say, I'm not good enough anyway. Or even if I tried, I wouldn't stand a chance. So this is called as inferiority complex. So even if see people usually sometime or the other in many stages or many aspects of our life, we all lose the courage to take steps forward, and cannot accept the fact that the situation can be changed by making realistic efforts, and before doing anything they simply give up and say, I'm not good enough anyway. Even if I tried, I wouldn't stand a chance. So, using feelings of inferiority as an excuse for not doing, we use, Adler says that we use the feelings of inferiority to just get an excuse from the task, from not doing anything. So, thinking that I'm not well educated, so I cannot succeed, and I'm not good looking, so I can't get in a relationship. So, all these are inferiority complexes, and our pursuit should be the pursuit of superiority. So, there are also people who have superiority complex. They act as if they are superior and indulge in a fabricated feeling of superiority. So, boast about past achievement and recount memories. So, sometimes inferiority and superiority complexes are combined, which leads to bragging about one's misfortunes. So, they make themselves special by the way of their experience of misfortune. So, how to achieve real happiness? So, Adlerian psychology is a psychology, we can say, of changing oneself. So here he says that you have to change yourself, not changing others. So instead of waiting for others to change, you have to take the first step forward yourself. That is all Adlerian psychology is all about, and that is this book all about. So it is not the psychology of it is the psychology of changing oneself, not a psychology for changing others. So here he says life is not a competition. That means the pursuit of superiority is the mindset of taking a single step forward on your own, on you, on your own feet, not the mindset of competition to aim to be greater than other people. So he says that our aim or the mindset should not be that we are greater than other people. So he says life is not a competition. The pursuit of superiority means coming out of inferiority complex, but not feeling that you are greater than other people. So, a healthy feeling of inferiority doesn't come from comparing oneself to others, but from one's comparison to their ideal self. So, the reason many people aren't happy while they're building up their success in the eyes of society, that they are living in competition. So he says that many people are not happy because they are living a life of competition. If you think of internal interpersonal relationships as competition, you perceive other people's happiness as my defeat, and you can't celebrate it. You are able to feel people are my comrades. Your way of looking at the world will change. So, he says, when we see that other people or fellow citizens or fellow people surrounding us are our allies, or all are like our colleagues, and we have to cooperate with each other to win. So this way of looking at the world, you know when you have this approach, your way of looking at the world will change. So the next thing to be happy, he says, deny the desire for recognition. So wishing so hard to be recognized, will lead to a life of following expectations held by other people who want you to be this kind of person. So when you always have the desire of recognition, then what it means is you will lead a life following expectations held by other people who want you to be of a certain kind. So you throw away who you really are and live other people's lives. So, therefore, you should deny your desire for recognition. You're not living to satisfy others people's expectations, and other people aren't living to satisfy your expectations. So, the cost of freedom in relationships is that one can be disliked by other people. It is the proof that you are free. So, the thing is to agree to disagree. So, that is the proof that you are free, and a sign that you are living in accordance with your own principles. Even in a relationship, each individual should have the freedom to disagree and dislike. So that is what Adlerian psychology believes. So unless you're unconcerned by other people's judgment and have no fear of being disliked by other people, and pay the cost that you might never be recognized and you will never follow through in your own way of living, so you won't be free. That is what the courage to be disliked is all about. So the mindset to be unconcerned by other people's judgment and to not have fear of being disliked by other people, and you are paying the cost that you might not be recognized in your entire life. The desire to be recognized, you lose that. And there may be a person, you know who doesn't think well of you, but that's not your task. If some person dislikes you or does not think good of you, he or she does not like you, that is not at all your task. You should not be worried about that. That is their perception, that has nothing to do with you. So that is what Alfred Adler talks. All you can do with regard to your own life is to choose the best path that you believe in. How do people judge that's the task of other people. See, how people judge you is the task of other people. It's not a matter you can do anything about. I cannot change perception of people who think bad of me, who think good of me, or who dislike me or like me. I can't change that perception. I cannot do anything about that, so it is not my task. So that is what Adlerian psychology talks about. So the next thing is discard other people tasks. So we had discussed this in last session as well. So that is called separation of tasks. So we need to think. with the perspective of whose task is this, so, and separate our own tasks from other people's tasks. So this is called separation of tasks. So what is that? You should not worry about or intrude on other people's tasks. This says that we should not worry about or intrude on other people's tasks. How? So for example, let's take a school, a child studying at school. Studying at school is the child's task, not the parent. So the task owner is the one, who will ultimately receive the result brought by the choice. So parents use the phrase, it's for your own good. So what parents do is they impose their desires on their children, their goals on their children, and they say, I'm telling you this is for your own good. So but in reality they are doing so in order to fulfill their own goals, like their appearance in the eyes of society and their desire for control. So, here he explains that parents should be interested in knowing what the child is doing and letting the child know that they are ready to assist in studying, but they shouldn't interfere or intrude on the child's task. So this is very important in understanding parenting as well, and it can be used in interpersonal relationships as well. So, discarding other people's tasks is the first step toward lightening the load and making life simpler. So, this is what we all have to, make a note of in our life. So, discarding other people's tasks is the first step toward lightening the load and making your life simple. So, last message here is how to change your life. If you ask, Adler says that you can change anytime, you just choose not to. So, if you think that your past determines your present, you end up with determinism. So, your future has been, it means that your future has already been decided by your past. So, in Adlerian psychology, we don't think about the past causes, but we rather think about the present goals. Your past does not determine your present, but rather it is the meaning that you give, that you attribute to your past. So, Adlerian psychology is all about concentrating on the present goals, on the present. So, you are unable to change only because you are making the decision not to. So, he says that we are not able to change because we don't make the decision to change. You probably think it's easier to leave things as they are. If you stay like this, you can respond to events as they occur and you can guess the results. So, it's like driving your old but familiar car. So we are comfortable driving our old but familiar car. So it might rattle a bit, but you can take that into account and maneuver easily. But if you choose a new lifestyle, no one can predict what might happen to your new self or have any idea how to deal with events as they arise. So, he says that it will be hard to see ahead to the future, and your life might be painful and filled with anxiety. So, choose not to change. We fear that we don't have courage to take steps to change because we feel that our life will be more painful or with anxiety and without comfort. So he says to get out of that comfort zone and choose to change, rather than not choosing to change. So you're choosing not to fulfill your dreams. You do not commit to anything because you want to leave the possibility open. I can do that if I can try. So you don't want to try. You just have, you will leave the line. If I had tried, if I can do it, I can, if I can, if I would have tried it, I could have done it. So you don't want to expose your work to criticism. The main reason is we don't have courage. We feel we do not want our work to, our you do not want to expose our work to criticism, and you don't want to produce inferior work and face rejection. So criticism and rejection, what we all fear about. So the only solution here, Adler says, is courage. Courage is the only solution. That is what the book Courage to Be Disliked is all about. The courage to be disliked. And we will discuss the 5 night discussions and teachings. Almost we have covered here, and I am gonna talk about them in the next session. So, for this, let me know of your thoughts on the session, and let me know if you have any other perspective or any other key takeaway or insights if you have read the book. So, namaste for today, and thank you for staying tuned.